Hi. I would like to ask you, what do you think about, you spoke about successful people, and how do you feel when we have very, very successful people, like politicians, without naming anyone, but who are not very nice people? I mean, how would you combine the fact that possibly they're not at peace with themselves, and therefore, how would you see this? I mean, how would you be able to kind of combine, if a person it is very rich or successful or is a billionaire, but at the same time is not balanced in time himself?
Yeah, I think that when you look at successful people, you can find successful people that are great, generous philanthropists, giving individuals. And of course, you can find people that are successful that are very selfish, very cutthroat. I think that what's important is for us to, we can't change other people. And I think there's two things that are important. Number one is not judging another person for the way that they are based on our way of thinking. Meaning, if we see someone and they're acting in a way that we think to ourselves, I would never say what they say, I would never do what they do, I would never treat people the way that they treat people. Well, it's easy for us to say that from our own perspective. We haven't lived their lives. We don't know that if we had their parents and lived their lives, there's a good chance we might be exactly the same. So in our head, it's easier to say, I would never do that from our perspective, but if we lived their lives, we might do the exact same thing. If we were influenced by the same people they were influenced by, and the same thoughts and the same ideas, if we were told that things were important by other people that were also shallow and materialistic, and if that's how we grew up our entire lives, well, there's a very good chance that we would be the same as they are. So that's the first thing, is realizing that we can't change other people, so we might as well love them and trade in our judgment with empathy. Instead of judging them for the way they are, be empathetic and understand maybe they're that way for a certain reason that I don't understand. And the second thing I think, and more important, is we just have to decide how we want to be in the world. If we want to be very successful, I think that can be a problem, is that if we look at successful people who are selfish and we think it's the success that made them selfish. But typically what you find is success just amplifies who you are. If you're a selfish jerk and you get a bunch of money, now you're just a rich, selfish jerk. But if you're a generous person that doesn't have any money and eventually you get a lot of money, most likely you're going to give a lot of that money away and be generous, because who we are is amplified by the success that we create. And I think also that the better of a person that you feel that you are, the more of a responsibility you have to become successful so you can pay it forward and help other people be more successful themselves. Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. Thank you.
The second question from Francesco. How can I find the job that I really like and make good money if I don't know what I really like to do?
So it sounds like step one is exploration. So you've got to look at what are all the jobs that are out there that you are qualified for. And if there's none that you're qualified for that you want, then you've got to look at, okay, what are the jobs that I want that I'm not yet qualified for that I would need to get qualified for? But the point is, you've got to begin with the end in mind. So you've got to look at what are the things that you would like to do? Do you like to draw? Do you like to talk to people? And if you're at a loss and you have no idea, just start asking everyone you know, hey, what do you do? Google things like, what are fun jobs? Or you've got to start somewhere with figuring out what would you like. And here's a place you might start. You mentioned in your question, how can you find a job that you make really good money if you don't know what you really like to do? Well, maybe you start with the money. If you don't like to do anything, then you might as well just pick the job that pays the best, right? So you might even start there. If you know you want to, make $100,000 a year, Google what are jobs that pay $100,000 a year, and look through all those jobs. And if you look at all the jobs making $100,000 a year, pick the one that either you're qualified for, or that is most interesting to you, or that maybe takes the least amount of education so you could get there the fastest, right? Whatever it is. But it starts with clarity. And even if it takes you a few days or hours or weeks or whatever, figure out what are your options, and have them on paper in front of you. You've got to have options. You've got to know what they are. And then it's a matter of, okay, which of these am I going to move towards? Which of these am I going to work towards? Which of these am I going to be if you're not qualified now, which of these am I going to go to school for or take a trade, some sort of education to qualify for these jobs and figure it out. But honestly, Google is your best coach. If you don't know, that's why whenever somebody asks me a question, I often will say, the first thing you should do is Google it. And then figure it out, and then ask some more questions. But that's what I would do, is I would figure out, of all the jobs out there, first, how much do you want to earn? Because you might as well start with jobs that pay the amount of money that you want to earn. And then figure out, of those jobs, which are you most qualified for? And if you're not qualified for any of them, ask yourself, which of those jobs am I willing to get qualified for? And then take action. And again, your success is inevitable. If you go get qualified and then you go pursue the job, right, and get experience, eventually you'll achieve the success that you want and make the money that you want. So hope that helps you, Francesco. Thank you so much.